For this video log, I'm going to talk about a session that I did with the bowlers for my senior teams at my club back home, my cricket club back home in Keswick. So what I did, after conducting a really thorough ramp warm-up to ensure that all the bowlers were prepared for the tough bowling session ahead, I got my bowlers straight into the nets to focus on run-up alignment. This is a very technical element of bowling and can often cause a number of participants problems if it's not correct. So to begin with, I just got my players to run in and bowl. This allowed me to have a look at their run-up and see what it was like and see whether they needed changing or not. As you expect, everyone was different and no one was perfect. I placed down cones with poles in so that my players had to run in a straight line towards the target, which would be the batsman at the far end. A lot of players found this uncomfortable, as I did in the past when I had to do it as well. So I changed the poles just to cones on their own, as this was less distracting for the players. This worked slightly better, but the players still didn't seem comfortable with it. So we removed the equipment and we aimed to run straight at the batsman. Although when looking to improve technical elements like this, you do have to push yourself out of the comfort zone. I think it's important for motivation levels as well that we make sure the participants are comfortable with what you're doing before trying to push them again and push them out of their comfort zone to take them to the next level. My feelings. I felt this session was very tough for the players as it can really damage bowling, rhythm and therefore confidence. As a past experience from myself, I've had this same problem within my bowling, and it really can damage bowling rhythm and it can put you into all sorts of problems, and it can really crush confidence as well. However, to get the most out of their bowling, their run-ups have to be right, and this has been proven through the world of cricket, and I didn't feel that the players were confident enough and didn't make much progress through this session. So I felt this session, it was tough for them for confidence reasons, but it was also tough for me as a coach because there was a lot of improvisation on the spot to adapt drills to make it more comfortable for the players and to try and get the most out of the session, because we don't want to waste a session. I based a lot of my thoughts around regression as the players struggled with the session, so I was thinking of a way to make it easier for them with the kit I had available. And I also thought about asking my players what they thought we could improve on to improve their run-ups, as they know themselves better than what I know them, and they may have something different to my ideas that I may not have thought of that would work better for the session. So it's always worth asking the players, as they're the ones that will be doing it and sometimes know best. How did it go? I don't think the session went very well at all. The players struggled to adapt to a straighter run-up line, and when they tried it, their bowling went wayward. This meant that confidence decreased and they left the session demotivated, which for me as a coach is a failure, because I haven't succeeded in what I set out to do, and it's really hard trying to run a session with the performers when they're demotivated, things aren't going right. What I learnt that all players are different and that changing to a more correct technique isn't always a correct thing to do. Sometimes players should just be left as they are with the technique they have in order to do well. For example, you look at Lasith Malinga, who's a professional Sri Lankan bowler, who's a famous name across cricket, and a lot of people look at him and say, well, his technique's awful because he releases the ball from the side of his body rather than having his bowling arm straight up in the air like the correct technique would say you have to. So I learnt that technique isn't always essential, as it's more about the player feeling comfortable and confident within their bowling rather than looking correct all the time. What would I do differently? I would first have a good look at my bowlers' run-ups and their outcome of delivery to see whether it's worth changing their technique. Then I would discuss possible methods we could change with their technique before deciding on what I think is most suitable for that player. So this would include a lot of coach-player discussions to see whether they want to change it, what the benefits of changing it could potentially be, whether it could harm anything. So So this is something that I would discuss with the players before changing anything in the future. My learning outcome was to improve run-up alignment in order to get the most from the players bowling. Did I achieve my learning objective? No. I didn't achieve my learning objective as the players struggled to adapt to the new technique and therefore their bowling got worse, which is the opposite to what I was trying to set out to achieve. Did I achieve anything? Surprisingly, from this session I did achieve something. My ramp warm-up. This allowed the players to be fully prepared for a tough bowling session ahead. We started off by raising heart rate, and then we went through a series of activation and mobilisation drills before moving on to some serious cricketing related potentiation skills. So can what I have done help me to get better at a skill? Yes, I can learn from my mistakes. From my experiences, I get better at dealing with individual differences and develop my man management skills so that I know I can learn my players a bit better. So when they're struggling, I know how to talk to them. I know how they react best to what I try and give them, and this is something I can get better at.